Okay, guys, hope you're ready for the new European season. Now, just a reminder, we go into this one as beaten Europa League finalists, okay? So anything but making the group stages of the Champions League is an utter failure, but no pressure. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 96 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode we start the 7th European season of this save. We are taking on Sarajevo in the second qualifying round of the Champions League. Apologies to all you Bala Town fans out there, but your boys should not have got spanked 10-0 in the first qualifying round. We've also got a recap of what has happened in the domestic season since the end of the Europa League, and we have also got some new players in our squad as well, which we will introduce you guys to shortly as well. So it is a big episode. If you are looking forward to it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. So first things first, in today's episode, which is also the first one where we do have another Icelandic team in Champions League qualifying, that is over on the league path side of the draw with HK, but we'll get to that in a little bit when we do check in on what the other Icelandic teams are doing in the second qualifying round of these European competitions. But first off, a little bit of a recap of what has happened since the Europa League final a few days ago. If you did miss that episode and the end of European season review as well, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. But we have been on an absolute tear since that Europa League final defeat. As you can see right up the top, since that red dot, it has been all green dots. We are undefeated in the league so far, have not dropped any points, and have made our way through to the quarterfinals of the Multiplicarin as well. Most of those wins very comfortable. The most difficult of those actually our most recent game in the fourth round of the Multiplicarin. We didn't actually get a goal until extra time, but Nygaard and Mariano did make sure that we won that game 2-0 over Vala Reykjavik, but we are in an exceedingly strong position to be making it yet another league title, and hopefully we can pick up the Multiplicarin yet again as well. A quick look at the league table before we do play Nuts KR in between this tie against Sarajevo. In today's episode, we are 11 points clear of Akranes. They currently find themselves in second. We quite clearly look like the best team in Iceland at the moment, just over the halfway stage of the season, having gone HK just behind Akranes and Keflavik and Fylkir not too far behind those guys in the Conference League spots for next season. But at the moment, it does look like a pretty comfortable job for us yet again to be winning the domestic title here in Iceland for, I believe, the 7th straight season, with this one being our 7th season in Europe as well. But we do have some new faces to introduce you guys to in the squad. We're just going to do a little bit of a squad recap before we do get into the new season of European qualifying, and to do that we will go over to the tactics screen and do a little player-by-player run-through just so you guys can see who has improved and which attributes and not since you last saw these guys. It was something that someone did mention in the comments in the video last week, so we will do that before the start of each European season from this point on in this save. And one of the new changes to the team is we do have a new starting goalkeeper. We told you guys we signed this guy, I think, earlier this week. This is Peter Lurvik. We signed him for about £2.4 million from Mulder, and he is going to be our starting goalkeeper for this upcoming European season. He's just a much better version of Sarah Fellini and most of the attributes that we do use for a sweeper keeper on support. Hopefully that progress does improve now that he has joined the club here at Völsungur. But he is our new starting goalkeeper. And just while we are on the subject of goalkeepers, one of our big sales since you were last here for the Europa League final is that Michel Serafellini, he has gone to Brighton with us signing Lurvik. We didn't really need to keep him around anymore. That is the big sale that we have made so far since the end of the last European season, going to Brighton for £150,000, which for a goalkeeper, 30 years old, I don't think is that bad a bit of business, even though his value is a little bit higher than that. That still does look like a good bit of business for a goalkeeper who we weren't going to play too much in the upcoming season anyway. But the big change there in goal, Peter Lurvik is our new starting goalkeeper. And alongside that, we also have a new starting right back. This is the player that we did sign in amongst what was happening in yesterday's episode. This is John Matthews, a 23-year-old Irishman, which is a good pickup because being Irish, he does count as being European. He's just a little bit stronger in most areas at wing back than Ian Carlo is. A little bit better and slightly more potential as well. Not as much potential as we would like, but we did not have to pay much for this guy at all, and he does look like a good option, paying £550,000 for him from Bohemian, one of our previous rivals in Conference League, qualifying in the first season, I believe it was. He did a decent job at Bohemian, starting well over 200 games for those guys since the start of this save, and has done a decent job in 6 games for us so far as well, picking up 2 assists. And John Matthews is our new starting right back here at Völsungur for this new European season. Alongside him, the same centre-back pairing which we did debut in European competition for last season, Thiago Polo on the right side of our centre-back defence. He was really dangerous in the air last season. Hopefully that continues this time around. And alongside him, Gaetano Duplisco on the left-hand side, another very good centre-back. Those two should be our centre-backs for a fair while yet, quite young centre-backs, unless we do get a ridiculous offer in for those guys from a big European club. And still our starting left back is Alejandro Meza. Still has quite good potential. We're going to leave him in that left back spot, even though he potentially could improve a little bit on his form from last season, but I do think he has the potential to turn into a long-term left back for us here at Völsungur. So just that one change in the back four being John Matthews at right back. We have rejigged the midfield ever so slightly. Part of this was because we had too many foreign players in our second 11, and Nathaniel Satole did look a little bit too good to be languishing down in our second 11, so we have promoted him to the first 11 to help fix that foreigner problem for the domestic league. But our midfield now, Brynjar Galtason does still keep his defensive midfield spot, even though progress-wise is on the dip, but being homegrown in nation, he is quite useful for UEFA registration, and he is a pretty good player as well in that defensive midfield role. Has not let us down so far in this save, I think it is fair to say. Nicolucci Caviglia getting up towards the 30-year-old mark now, but is still a very solid box-to-box midfielder for us. No standout attributes apart from right down the bottom of the mental ones, but just continues to do a really good job for us, does the Italian box-to-box midfielder. Apparently not too far away from an Italian national team call-up alongside Sarah Fellaini, which when you look at him is a little bit surprising, but must be doing exceedingly well here at Völsungur, as we know. And Satole comes in as our Mazzala now. He has some really good green attributes, 21 years old, 20 caps for the national South African team. He is a very good player with good potential. We are going to give him a run as a Mazzala for this European season. Still needs to adapt to that role, but you can see he is making good progress and should be a good mainstay of this team for the next couple of years. Nathaniel Satole in the Mazzala role, and then our front three is the same as what we would have liked it to be towards the end of the last European season. We've got Nicholas Zimmerman as the starting right winger. He was doing a great job before he got injured late in the Europa League campaign last season. Hopefully he can pick up where he left off. He has just recovered from his injury recently, and hopefully will be okay for these upcoming games, albeit they will be the first ones that he has actually started since that injury that he did suffer in the Europa League knockout. So far, Patrick Nygaard has been our starting right winger this season, but hopefully Nicholas Zimmerman can handle a full 90 minutes in these upcoming games. Frederick Larsson, well and truly our best left winger at the club these days. 4-star current ability and potential does make him the best overall player at the club as well. Hopefully he can keep up that good form that he did find last season. And up front is still Benjamin Rubio, 4-star, so he's actually joint with Frederick Larsson as the best player at the club. He can be a little bit hit or miss at times, can Benjamin Rubio, but still looks very good in terms of the finishing and composure departments of his attributes, and that is our ideal starting 11. On the bench, I think what we're going to do is mix between Chatzakis and Jorge as our backup left back at the moment. Jorge performing a little bit better, so the young Portuguese come Brazilian 19-year-old can get a bit of a run off the bench for us in that position. The other players on the bench for European games, Ali Ramadan, the 21-year-old centre-back from Congo, who is more or less our replacement for Mbiamba, with him having been from the exact same nation. Really high potential centre-backs. We're exceedingly strong in terms of centre-backs here at the club now. He is a more than able replacement should one of Paulo or DePrisco get injured. He's a good option after we brought him into the club. Last season, midfield backup on the bench, we've got Malizio Goffi, seeing as he can cover both the usual midfield and defensive midfield. Really solid bench option for us there. The 22-year-old Italian can cover most of those positions in the midfield. And we've also got Porstein Anderson on the bench because, as well as covering a type of role like the Mazzala, he can also play right wing, so some good versatility gives him the nod on the bench in European competitions above someone like Patrick Nygaard dropping out of the starting 11 during last season, and now he's gone down the pecking order just a little bit more with that promotion of Nathaniel Satole, but very useful player, being homegrown in club and at nation as well. In terms of our wing backup alongside Anderson, Chaka Traore, 3.5-star current ability, very, very good option with that 4-star potential. Does get quite injury prone, so is a very good bench option for us in these European games. Don't want to be starting him in too many games ideally, so he does not get injured. Backup striker Fabio Maliano, he was really good for us late last season, picking up that big goal, which did send us through to the Europa League final. He does continue to make great progress. A very, very reliable backup in behind Benjamin Rubio for us up front. And then to round off our bench, we have Ian Carlo as the backup right back. A little bit of a demotion for him since last season with the addition of John Matthews, but is still a pretty good player. Actually performed quite well for us rating-wise last season, and hopefully he can still do a good job for us when called upon when the Irishman is unavailable. And to round out our Champions League squad, we do still have players like Patrick Nygaard, Gabriel Corbo, Bedrzicki. Diaz is now our backup goalkeeper outright since Sarah Fellini has left. Melcy Martins is a third choice striker, and then a bit more squad depth in the rest of the positions. We've got Bjarkason, who can cover both left and right wing. Rosario Renzi is a backup defensive midfielder. Adri Garrido is a good option as a backup right back, being homegrown at club, even though he's not the best player. That's why we are keeping him around. Milos Petrovic does not need to be registered, so another player who is a good backup right back option. Chatzakis is our third choice left back backup. He is not developing quite as well as we would hope. His form not quite as good as Jorge, but still a good promising player. Another one who does not need to be registered, being under 21 and these days homegrown at club. And Lasse Jorgensen is technically available for Champions League, but should be getting loaned out during today's episode. So that rounds up the squad that we do have here at Völsungur these days, but this is the main crux of the squad that we should be playing in most of the games that you do see on camera in European football for the rest of this season. And we do start this European season off with the second qualifying round of the Champions League, as I mentioned earlier, taking on a Sarajevo team who did beat Balatown 10-0 on aggregate in the first qualifying round. So they come into this in good form, albeit we've dealt with these guys fairly comfortably a few seasons ago in Champions League qualifying as well. So this should be a game coming out of the Europa League final that we should be able to win fairly comfortably, I would like to think, even though our first team has been given just a little bit of a rest domestically coming into the start of the European campaign. And now a little bit of a look at what the other Icelandic teams are doing. For the first time in this save, we do have another Icelandic team in Champions League qualifying, the first season that we have felt the effects of when we did move up to 15th in the coefficient rankings a few seasons ago, albeit probably going to be a tough task for HK, currently third on the domestic table. As you did see earlier, they take on Copenhagen of Denmark. It is going to be a tough tie for those guys. They're a pretty good team, as we know from past experience in Champions League qualifying. They would surely be the favourites to take out that tie, but hopefully HK can drop down to the Europa League and maybe pick up a win there just to guarantee that they do end up in the group stages of a European competition this season. And then we go down to the Conference League, and we only actually have one Icelandic team entering at this stage. I thought it was supposed to be two, but there's another team that's entering in the third qualifying round, which I'm not against, but I didn't think that was supposed to be the case. But the one team in the second qualifying round of the Conference League, that is Keflavik, but yet again, they've got a quite tough draw taking on Hibernian of Scotland, so it looks a little bit tough for the other Icelandic teams in the second qualifying round of Europe in today's episode. But hopefully that changes come tomorrow's episode, where we have Fylkir in the Europa League third qualifying round, and we also have Nats KR in the third qualifying round of this Conference League. They are going to be taking on the winner, if we make our way down and find them, of the tie between Kukisi or Muller out of Albania and Slovenia, respectively. That does look like a little bit of a more winnable tie for one of our fellow Icelandic teams, but that does the preview of this upcoming European season and the second qualifying round. We're at full strength going into this one, no injury concerns at all, and hopefully we can kick off with a nice comfortable win into the third qualifying round here. The first leg is away from home, so we'll come back shortly for the first leg of this tie against Sarajevo. And just shy of the half-hour mark, we do have the first highlight of this one. We've been dominant so far, but no shots on target, which is a little bit concerning as Kavar has a free kick here for Sarajevo. Comes off the upright. Galtason looks to tidy things up. Can we do something on the counter-attack? We can't, but the first highlight is in Sarajevo's favour. But it remains 0-0 here at the half-hour mark, and not too long off the back of that, they do have a corner, which Caviglia does head clear. So it is Sarajevo so far, with all the highlights in their favour. So a little bit of a rocky start from us here. Duplisco does head that clear from the ball played in there down the right-hand side. And Sarajevo look to mount another attack here. This is a little bit concerning, even though the stats have been in our favour. Hopefully, we might be able to get the ball back here and launch something on the counter-attack. They hoof this deep, and indeed we do win the ball back there through Thiago Polo at the back. We switch play Larson to Satole. Ben Rubio with a great chance, but he misses the target. Still 0-0 just past the half-hour mark. And right shy of half-time, we are still on the attack here, looking to grab a goal right before half-time. Still dominant stats-wise. Have just gone to attacking to see if that helps. And Zimmerman gets a shot off, comes off the upright. It is going to be 0-0 here at half-time, which is just a little bit disappointing, albeit our boys playing quite well, so no changes to start off the second half. And hopefully we can grab a goal here in the away leg. And 10 minutes into the second half, we are about to have here another free kick for Sarajevo. They went very close earlier with the first highlight, and this time they put that into the top right corner, and that is not the start that we're after in European qualifying this season. We will get on top of the boys here, because so far this has been a really poor performance. Good free kick there from Sarajevo, and unexpectedly we are 1-0 behind here, just shy of the hour mark, albeit it is in the away leg. Hopefully we can strike back here with a free kick down the other end. To Prisco, though, from a tight angle, can't find the back of the net. 1-0 down here in the first leg at the hour mark. And up to the 67-minute mark now, Benjamin Rubio with a free kick of his own, kisses the top of the crossbar. It goes over the back, and it's still 1-0 Sarajevo with 20 minutes left of the away leg. And up to the 73-minute mark, it's time for us to make some substitutions here, try and wake up this performance, because so far hasn't been great. Maurizio Goffi to come on for Caviglia, playing decently, but down to a red heart, and Chaka Traore for Zimmerman as well on a 6.5, as we try and get an equalising goal here inside the last 20 minutes. We have a corner, Galtason. In fact, Duplisco gets his head on the end of that over the bar. Still 1-0 down here with 15 minutes left of the away leg. And up to the 81-minute mark now, we are going to make our last substitution. Somehow we are still losing this game despite those stats that you can see. We've got a few players out there on red hearts, but most of those players actually performing quite well. So what I think we're going to do here is take off Benjamin Rubio for a pretty informed Fabio Mariano, and hopefully that can kick us into gear inside these last 10 minutes. And shortly off the back of that substitution, we do have a throw-in close enough to being inside the final third of the Sarajevo area, and we are now camped inside their half as we do knock that back to our centre-backs and try and get something going here. So Tole, Larson, Mariano, fresh off the bench, gets a chance and slots that away into the left-hand corner for his 25th goal of the season. He is really rivaling Rubio these days as a lethal goal scorer for us here at Völsungur. Has really kicked on since he did grab that goal that sent us through to the Europa League final. Good short passing. And finally, we grab an equaliser here, 1-1 with just under 10 minutes left of the away leg. And up to the 84-minute mark now, we do have a free kick. Can we start to put the foot down now that we have got that goal, which hopefully opens the floodgates here of the Sarajevo defence? Chaka Traore tries to put that far post there for Fredrik Larsen. Can't, but we do keep possession just inside the box here. Larsen puts it in for Mariano. Decent shot from him, but it was blocked. Goes out for a throw-in. Still 1-1 with 5 minutes left. And up to the 91-minute mark, we do have a late throw-in. Chaka Traore tries to get on the end of it, and a penalty has been given because Traore has been impeded, which is interesting because I don't think I saw too much wrong with that. So we may have just got a very, very lucky penalty here late in this one. Satole will try and slot this away in the left-hand corner. He does, and we come from behind in the dying stages of this game and do grab a 2-1 lead. It's been very, very lucky that we've left it this late, but on stats, we probably do deserve a good penalty there from Satole, even if the decision to award that penalty was quite questionable, albeit straight off the restart. We do see Sarajevo in possession. Can they grab an equaliser, which they probably feel like they deserve, although they give the ball there straight to the new Irish right back in Matthews. Larson up for Mariano. Can he slot this away? Hits that straight at Pilic in goal there for Sarajevo. But since the introduction of Mariano in particular, we have really started to find our feet in this one, looking a lot more threatening in front of goal. We try and pick out Chaka there at the near post. They are going to get the ball back from that clearance, but Mariano with a good foul there to slow the play up as we are over referee's time in this one. They will play out the free kick, and hopefully we can hold on to this 2-1 advantage. Thankfully, that ball just reaches Husavik in goal before it reaches a Sarajevo attacker, and we left it late, but in the end we escape here with a 2-1 win. Hardly a convincing performance. We weren't quite as good in front of goal as we needed to be, but we do take a 2-1 lead back into the home leg of the second qualifying round. I will tell the boys not too happy with that one, despite the fact that we did win, because dropping out of the Europa League final, that's a pretty average performance in the second round of Champions League qualifying. But we will get through this post-match interview and just check on what has happened in a few other ties. Something I did forget to mention is that we are taking on the winner of the tie between Bate and Glentoran, but HK unfortunately have suffered a 1-0 defeat at home in the first league, albeit it is a tie between Glentoran and Bate. You would expect Bate to be the team that we do face in the third qualifying round of Champions League this season, but that is provided that we do get past Sarajevo, because that first league was a lot closer than it should have been. But we'll come back shortly, hopefully the exact same starting 11, and hopefully put out a better performance in the home league. And back in Iceland for the home league first highlight. After 2 minutes, we have put out exactly the same squad as we had for that leg away from home. An early highlight in our favour here. Zimmerman off the upright somehow doesn't find its way into the back of the net. So a good early chance for us there, but still 0-0 on the day. 2-1 on aggregate, and not too long off the back of that, we are back on the attack. Satole trying to pick out Zimmerman there, but we do get the ball back through a header, and hopefully can grab a cushion goal nice and early here in this home league to grab a 2-goal advantage on aggregate. Caviglia from outside the box from a really tight angle somehow finds its way into the bottom left corner, and that is exactly what we wanted early in this home league, just to make up that slightly sloppy performance in front of goal in the away leg. That is exactly the start that we were after. Zimmerman plays this back to Caviglia. Didn't look too threatening there, but finds himself in just enough space to crank one there into the bottom left corner, and we are now 3-1 up early on here in the second leg at home, and not too long off the back of that opener. Another highlight here, Frederick Larson on the ball. Good little flick there out to Alejandro Meza. So far, looks like we're going to be quite dangerous here in the second leg. Good shot there from Satole, and then Rubio. Somehow that deflects and goes over the bar for a corner. So we are looking very dangerous here inside the first 6 minutes of this home league with our 2-goal advantage now on aggregate. Not much happening there from the corner though, and that's what the scoreline will remain after 7 minutes of the second leg. Although another corner not too long off the back of that. We try and pick out Frederick Larson there at the near post, but Nicholas Zimmerman will tidy things up on the right hand side of goal. Galtason inside the opposition half. Can we get a double nice and early in this game? Good chance here for Rubio, but forces a good save that out of the Sarajevo goalkeeper. He keeps it 1-0 on the day, 3-1 on aggregate. But as I said, it's been a very good start for us in this game compared to the away leg. Polo's header over the bar, and it's still a 2-goal advantage 10 minutes into the home league. And up to the 16-minute mark for our next highlight, we are playing from the back, and our new goalkeeper Husavik does pump that deep, albeit Sarajevo do get possession back. Kavar, who went close with a free kick in the first half of that first league. They play a ball forward here. It's very iffy from Husavik. That's an absolutely shocking clearance, and Dokanovic just has to put that in the bottom left corner, and our new goalkeeper has had an absolute howler there. This looked fairly unthreatening. I think it was Bolkovic with a ball over the top there. Don't mind him coming out for it, but he's just hit that straight down the middle, and from there it's a simple finish for Dokanovic, our goalkeeper. Bit of an idiot sandwich there, 1-1 on the day, and it's back to 3-2 on aggregate, 20 minutes into the second leg at home. And up to the 29-minute mark now, we do have a throw, and hopefully we can make up for that mistake by Husavik sooner rather than later, and Benjamin Rubio in the ball, albeit inside our own half as we do look to play out from the back. But that was an absolute howler from Husavik. Hopefully doesn't prove too costly, but we are back on the attack. Zimmerman from a tight angle, and he somehow gets that past the goalkeeper, and just like that, we have our 2-goal cushion back there. That's a wonderful bit of work by Nicholas Zimmerman down the right-hand side. That's his first goal, I believe, since coming back from the injury he suffered in the knockouts of the Europa League. Nice ball forward there from Matthews for him, and somehow gets that past the goalkeeper at his near post, and we are back 2 goals in front here, just shy of the half-hour mark of the second leg, albeit we have another highlight straight off the back of that. Hopefully we do not give Sarajevo another goal, because so far we've been a little bit sloppy defensively in both of these legs, but a good interception from us there, and we try and get another attack on the go here. Frederick Larsson picks out Rubio, but he misses the target. Just a simple tap in there, but misses it, and we are still 2 goals up with just under 15 minutes left of the first half of the second leg. And up to the 36-minute mark now, we have a throw-in inside the final third of Sarajevo. Can we start to kick on in this tie, or will they hang on in there? Zimmerman just outside the box tries to put that top left corner, just goes over the bar. Still 2 goals up on aggregate, just shy of half-time in the second leg. And that is half-time in the second leg of the second qualifying round tie. A much better performance than what we put on in the away leg so far, but that mistake there from Husavik has certainly kept Sarajevo in this one, although I still think we're in a pretty good position with a 2-goal advantage with only 45 minutes left. Fairly happy with how everyone is doing, so no changes yet, and hopefully we can hold on here and make our way through to the third qualifying round for the Champions League this season. And an early highlight here in the second half, it is a throw-in to Sarajevo, albeit that's a good interception there by Nicholas Zimmerman. Hopefully we can do something here somewhat on the counter-attack as we try and get something going here down this right-hand side. Benjamin Rubio plays that back to John Matthews Caviglia. Long ball over the top there, tries to pick out Frederick Larsson, but Kavar does get the ball back here for Sarajevo. We try and put a little bit of pressure on them here down the left-hand side, but so far Sarajevo do keep possession, albeit it's a poor long ball forward there, and Gaetano de Plisco can tidy things up for us, and hopefully we can grab a goal, which should surely put us in a position where we should be making our way through to the third qualifying round. And Benjamin Rubio from a long way out, that is a good strike from him. That's a strike that suggests he's starting to find his form, seeing as so far this season it would be fair to say that Fabio Mariano has been our form striker here at the club, but Caviglia finds him in just enough space there. Still had a lot of work to do, Rubio, but a great finish into the bottom right corner. And at the 50-minute mark, we are now 3 goals up on aggregate. And up to the 53-minute mark, we might start to put the foot down here, it looks like, because we are back on the attack again. 3 goals up over both legs. Zimmerman from a tight angle gets a header off. It's pretty soft here, though, for Pilic, and it does remain 3-1 on the day, 5-2 on aggregate, albeit this highlight does continue. It's another chance here for Benjamin Rubio, but his shot is blocked. They will clear it, will Sarajevo, but we are still on the attack. This is a long sustained period of pressure for us here to start off the second half. De Plisco pays that back to Thiago Polo. What can he do? Starts to inch his way forward. Nicholas Zimmerman over there to Satole, up to Rubio. Good short passing. Can we find someone? Frederick Larsson will try and put that in the back of the net. His shot is straight at the goalkeeper, and we are going to make a substitution here because Benjamin Rubio on a yellow card. We know what happened the last time that was the case in Champions League qualifying. Fabio Mariano to come on for him with just over a half hour left of this tie. And up to the 68-minute mark, interesting, right behind my head, HK have equalised in the away leg against Copenhagen. So that is good stuff. Hopefully they can kick on with that, but we are back on the attack here with our 3-goal lead over both legs. Hopefully we can kick on, and John Matthews does a great individual effort there. He came from a long way inside the opposition half and has just cranked that into the top right corner. That was completely unexpected there from our new right back. Not too sure what he's doing all the way there on the left-hand side, but he actually started inside our own half, so that is a wonderful individual goal, that, and we are now 4-1 up on the day, 6-2 up on aggregate, and we are going to make some substitutions here with both of our wingers down to red hearts. So we will bring Chaka Traore on for Larson and Anas on to come on for Zimmerman. That's all our subs used. We are now 4 goals up on aggregate with only 20 minutes left of this tie. And up to the 75-minute mark, Sarajevo are about to have a free kick, but unfortunately Copenhagen now 2-1 up on the day there against HK, so they are now 2 goals up on aggregate, so that kills off our hope there on that league path side of Champions League qualifying for HK, but we are on the attack here still with our 4-goal advantage on aggregate, and it is now Matthews off the back of that wonderful individual goals, tries to pick out Traore there, his header over the bar. We're still 4 goals up here entering the last 15 minutes of this tie. And up to the 83-minute mark, Sarajevo on the attack, but HK yet again have grabbed an equaliser through one of our former players there too, in Almedi Ben Musa, but we do get something going here on the counter-attack. Arnason starts to make his way into the opposition half. Some good passing here. Great chance for Fabio Maliano, and he picks up yet another goal. That is now his 30th goal of the season, which probably spoils the fact he scored quite a few goals in our league game in between these ones we are playing against Sarajevo, but we are certainly in a lot better form here than we were in that first leg away from home. Now 5-1 on the day, 7-2 on aggregate. And shortly off the back of that 5th goal for us, we have a corner here, and it is Paolo who gets his head on the end of that just over the bar. Still 7-2 on aggregate, keeping an eye out on if HK can grab an equaliser late in that league path side of the draw. It looks like Bate have grabbed a goal, which would see them be the opposition for us in the 3rd qualifying round. It does not look like HK did grab an equaliser on aggregate, unfortunately, so that is a little bit disappointing. They actually went a little bit better than I thought they would there against their Danish opposition, but our performance today a lot better than what we did put out in the away leg. That was a lot more like what I was expecting in that away leg, but in the end we do pick up 2 wins from 2 to start off this year's Champions League qualifying campaign, and off the back of a 2-1 win in the first leg. When we did leave it just a little bit late, we pick up a 5-1 win at home to go through 7-2 on aggregate. We'll just get through this post-match interview and make sure that the results were what we thought they were. Bate grabbing a late goal there to go through 2-1 over Glentoran. That's our opposition in tomorrow's episode, and we'll just make our way down a little bit further and make sure that HK did not grab a late goal in that tie away at Denmark. And unfortunately, they did not. They could only muster a draw away from home, which still isn't that bad a result, but that does mean they are going down to Europa League qualifying and will join Keflavik in that 3rd qualifying round. So we'll come back shortly, tidy things up, and see what the Icelandic teams have got coming up in the 3rd qualifying round of Europe in tomorrow's episode. And back in the inbox off the back of that tie against Sarajevo, as I said, a lot better in the 2nd leg than we were away from home in the 1st leg, and that does mean that we are taking on Bate Borisov in tomorrow's episode in the 3rd qualifying round. This is a team that we beat quite comprehensively a few seasons ago in the first knockout round of the Conference League. I can't remember if that was the 1st or 2nd time we got to the knockouts of the Conference League. It might have actually been the year that we did make the final of that competition, but nonetheless, we know this is a team that we can beat, and we should have strengthened quite a bit since then. A quick look at our opposition in tomorrow's episode. They are a 2.5-star reputation club, so they're actually a club that should be worse than us, and I'd like to think we can do a decent job against those guys in tomorrow's episode and make our way through to the Champions League playoff like we have in the last few seasons, and hopefully make our way yet again into the group stages of the Champions League to start off next week. While we are here, we are also going to do a little bit of a check-in with the other Icelandic teams, see what they have got going on in the 3rd qualifying round. We'll see what's happened to the 2 Icelandic teams in the Europa League, and they have been drawn against each other, so that is interesting. I would have thought that would be impossible, but I suppose with 2 Icelandic teams being on the league path side of the draw, I suppose it doesn't matter too much, but it's a little bit disappointing. But I suppose also it does at least guarantee there is going to be one other Icelandic team in the group stages of a European competition this year, because whichever one of those two teams between Phil Kerr. I think I might have been saying Keflavik throughout that match against Sarajevo, but it is Phil Kerr in the Europa League. They are taking on HK, and whichever one of those two teams does win that tie, the worst that they can do is drop down to the Conference League group stages. So for the first time in this save, we are going to have some company in the group stages of a European competition, which is nice, but that is very interesting. Two Icelandic teams being drawn against each other in the third round of the Europa League qualifying, and we make our way down to the Conference League. We'll go over to the stages here because we do want to have a quick look at what is happening so far in this tie, because it hasn't quite finished yet. The one here between Keflavik, they are the team who will be in the Conference League qualifying, and at the moment they are losing 2-1 to Hibernian. As expected, they might be getting knocked out, but of course we will still have Nuts KR in the third qualifying round of this one in tomorrow's episode, as they do take on the winner of the tie between Kukesi or Mura. So we still have a few options there in teams who can join us in European football this season. At least we are going to have one, despite that really odd occurrence with Phil Kerr taking on HK in that third qualifying round of the Europa League. There has also been the wrap-up of the transfer window during today's episode. We have made one signing in particular that I'm quite excited about. I did try and bring in two more midfielders here to Völsungur. Unfortunately, Inter Milan hijacked a deal for a Belarusian midfielder, but we have been able to sign a very, very promising Senegalese defensive midfielder. This is Basalou Gay, and we signed him for an absolute bargain price out of Senegal. As you can see on screen, he looks like a really good option, could give someone like Galtason some real competition for that starting role in defensive midfield. He can play all the way between centre-back and midfield, which I think suggests he's actually going to end up being quite a good defensive midfielder for us. As I said, could prove some good competition for Galtason for that starting role, and he was absolutely dirt cheap for the quality that he does possess. We only had to spend £70,000 for this guy out of Diambars in Senegal. Looking at the quality that he does have, 18 years old, that is an absolute bargain. So I've pulled off a good late deal there in the transfer window just to continue to bolster up the squad. But as you could see before, we have also loaned out quite a few players as well, really trimming down the size of the squad. And Werner Bayer as well is another player who should be going out on loan potentially before the start of tomorrow's episode. So that is what our squad is looking like, and that will do it for today's episode with that addition of Basalou Gay to our squad, albeit he cannot be registered for the Champions League, but we might do so if one of Lenzi or Galtason does pick up an injury. Was just intending to keep him in the under-19s for the remainder of this season, but he is a very, very good third string option for us as a backup midfielder. But that will do for today's episode, a big one. Checked in on how the other Icelandic teams were doing in Europe, as well as a squad update, and making our way through to the third qualifying round of the Champions League tomorrow against Bate. If you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow, where we continue Champions League qualification with that tie against Bate, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.